That many of those instinctive responses that we have, those implicit biases that we have, are oftentimes useful and correct. You know, as you said, our gut over whether someone is telling the truth or not may be relatively accurate. It may be that 80% of the time we're right. But when you then move into the arena of the fate of a person's life or the rest of their lifetime, that 20% margin of error, if that's what we're relying on, then that's a scary thing.
Yeah, and some of the things we just feel absolutely certain about, right? If you confess to a rape or a murder, you must have done it. And that's how we treat it in our legal system. We think it's scarcely conceivable that someone could possibly falsely confess to a serious crime. But what we now know is that it's not only possible, I think it's the predictable consequence of using the most widely employed interrogation technique in the United States, the Reid approach. And why is that? Well, the Reid approach basically is broken into these two phases. The first approach, you're brought in to an interrogation, and the first goal of the police officer is just to tell whether you're telling the truth or not. And what do police officers focus on? Well, the same thing that we all focus on. Things like gaze aversion. Are you looking me in the eye, or are you looking down at your shoes or up at the ceiling? Are your hands shaking? Are your legs bouncing up and down? Once the police officer picks one of these things out and says, yes, this person is lying, well, they move to the second part of the process, which is all about getting a confession. Now, what's the problem with the first part of the process? Well, the things that police officers rely on are not good ways to diagnose whether someone's being deceitful or not. There are plenty of people who are completely guilty who will look you right in the eye and tell you, nope, I didn't do it. And there are plenty of people, myself included, who get nervous just going through airport security. My hands start to shake. So that's a really bad way to tell whether someone's lying or not. And the problem is, what happens is we then move to the second part of the interrogation. And that's all about getting to you to say, I did it. My wife, you know, she really gets on my nerves. And I can't tell you how many times I've just thought about going after her, and I've been there, man. And what happens with this technique is that we know that people find this highly, highly coercive. It's very, very unpleasant, particularly if you've been in an interrogation for a number of hours. And people in this situation tend to think, well, I know I'm innocent. We have this illusion that what's inside of us is very transparent. I know I'm innocent. And if I just say that I did it, I can relieve this acute distress. And soon enough, the detectives, they'll follow up on those other suspects, they'll find other evidence, and I'll get off. And if I say I did it, well, at least I can get out of this room and this terrible feeling.
From the University of Virginia's Miller Center, this is American Forum.